it's a 6-step process, and we start at the beginning and we talk about how to get your funding set up, and then we talk about your systems and what systems you should utilize, and we talk about automation, and then we help you get your system set up initially, and then after you're onboarded, we'll drop the first set of leads to you, because the very first thing we start to talk about after the systems and after funding, because we want everybody to get this funding conversation out of the way, because even if you're going to wholesale, you know, you might need funding to close a deal, right? It just might happen. But you also need money to market, right? So we just have to have this conversation, because a lot of people think that you can just get into real estate and you don't need any cash at all or any kind of money. And you do need some, in my mind, you know. You need a little bit, because if you gotta get leads, you might have to pay for those, right? Even if it might be not that expensive, you gotta have some access to something to get started. So we just get that conversation out of the way, get your system set up, talk to you about how to use your systems, how to automate things to make it easier. And then we step into all, conversations about sellers and how you have conversations with sellers, how you get leads and all that good stuff. We give out basically 200 leads a month. So you get 800 cold leads that we talk about how to skip trace them, and then we give you leads so you can make calls and get comfortable with the process. We ask you what zip codes we ask you to give us 3 zip codes that you're interested in, and we pull the leads based on that. And then we go ahead and do the skip trace and all the do not call registry process, and then we load those for you, but we also train you how to do all that. We set up your systems for you, a base set of systems that are basically free. And you can have paid versions of them, but you can start using them in a free nature. And we also teach you how to use them, and we teach you how to integrate everything. We step into looking at the deal analysis, right? Which is part of what we're doing right now, right? So going out in the field, doing inspections, what kind of due diligence do you do at your computer? How can you look up things? And then how do you run the numbers, and what does that look like? And we give you tools. So every step of the way, we're giving you tools that make sense. So like one of the systems that we set up for you is an email campaign tool. And we give you templates in there. So if you need to send an email to a set of cash buyers, we give you a template for that, and we load that in. But then you can tweak it yourself, okay? You can then grow that exponentially if you want. We'll give you, I think, some seller templates for communicating with sellers even. So every step of the way, we're giving you some tool sets that make sense for that specific step that we're in.
Okay.
So after you understand, how to run the numbers, do the due diligence, that kind of thing, then we step you into contracts and how to make offers, and how to get things closed, right, to the table, like at least under contract. And then we're going to step you in how to manage the closing process.
Okay.
And at that point, we're going to talk about different exit strategies, right? So what do you do if you want to wholesale at that point, right? What does that process look like? So what does that look like versus if you're going to hold it and do something with it, flip it, whatever, right? But how do you get it, to the closing table, and how do you successfully make that work so that you don't lose deals? And then after that, we're going to step into what's next, which is, if you're wholesaling it, the good news is you just go to the bank, right? After it closes. If you're going to hold it, what does that look like? We're going to talk a little bit about, if you're holding it, some of the things you should think about, from how to get tenants in, how to best manage, your rental portfolio. We're going to talk in more depth about if you're going to do a rehab for rent, what kind of rehab should you do, and some of the things you should think about versus if you're going to flip. Now, if you're going to flip it, we're going to talk about that process and what that looks like. And some, if working with contractors, we're going to talk about how you work with contractors. Now, that last step isn't going to be the in-depth, how do you run and manage a project, because there's a ton of stuff there, right? But it's going to give you the basics of what you need to know, to step into it and give you some tools. Like the spreadsheet I'm getting ready to bring up, we use it through the whole process in our model. So when we start out, we build this model, we put our rehab number in, we use it to do our deal analysis, and then we use it to track cost, right?
Wow. Okay.
Our contacts, our leads, even if we go into, it's a whole property and we're gonna rent it, we actually use it to track our, leads that come in for our first time rent. So it's really kind of this, it's this workbook that we've built, and it is, ours, and it's proprietary, but it's everything that we need to have in there from start to finish, basically. So I can monitor a project that's happening and I can see exactly where we're at financially. We have our future projected spend in it. We have our contacts that we've used for the project. So I pull permits and put it in there. I pull rent comps and sales comps and put them in there. So I use it as this big workbook to everything. It's our Bible for that particular property, right?
Okay.
So, and again, that's something that you get as an Activate student. So our whole goal with the Activate program is that, in these 4 months, right, which, you're learning, and you have to put some time and effort into it, right, to get done in 4 months. But as you're learning, the whole goal is that you are making calls, you're talking to people, right, and you're making offers. And so by the end of 4 months, my hope is that you have something under contract, okay? We've given you 800 leads to try to do that, and Roldan, he actually, his first set of leads, he got a deal out of his first set of leads that we gave him. And it was just because he was tenacious, and he made the calls and turned something into a deal, which is what you have to do, bottom line. So my goal is that you have all the tools, right? All the things that I hear people say are standing in the way they've been taken out of the way. Other than you being in action, right? And doing what it takes to just make it happen. You'll have your systems set up, right? That you can build upon if you want. You'll understand conceptually what you use them for and why. And then you can decide at that point, as you step into it, do I stay with this set of tools? Or do I look at, a different set of tools? Because now you know what you need. So that's our goal, is that, we step you in at 4 months, ideally you have a deal. Because people need that kind of action in order to stay in the game.